Hi, this is Michael. So this is just a preview of what we're going to build. So we will be building one-page website, as you can see in this example. So we have the heading, the navigation, and the home for the expanding cards. So when we click an image, it will expand like this. We also have the About Me section and the Contact Me section. And lastly, the footer. So now let's take a journey through the various sections of this expertly crafted one-page website. Each element thoughtfully designed to showcase this example, to showcase this website. So we have the heading, the header. So we have the header, the navigation, the section, the home section for the expanding cards, and the section for the content, the About Me, and the Contact Me, and the footer. So these are the files we have: each index, script, and style.css. So we use a very simple styling to create this website. You can see in here. The main focus of this is the expanding cards, as you can see in this example. So that's what we're going to build later. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. So as you can see, I have my Visual Studio up and running, and we're going to create a new folder. So you can name this any name you want, but I'll name mine my expanding cards. So I'm just going to drag and drop this to my Visual Studio. And let's just close this, and let's create a file, index.html. We also need the style.css for our styling. And also the script.js for the JavaScript. So let's go back to the index.html and let's type the default structure, and let's change the title to my expanding cards. You can name this any name you want. You also need the style sheet or the link rel style sheet to link to our style.css file. So let's start with the header section. We're going to use the semantic header, and inside of this header we're going to have the h1 and name it my expanding cards project, and below that we have the paragraph, which you can type anything. In my example, I love programming is what I typed. Then make sure to save changes and checked. now let's proceed with the navigation. So we have the home, and we're gonna type the home. So ahrep hashtag about me, and another one for the contact. So right now it's going to look like this. So it doesn't have the styles yet. So next will be the section for the expanding cards, and we're gonna have an ID equals home and a class of expanding cards. So inside this section, we're gonna have a class of active or panel active, and we also have the h3. So we name it image1. So for the class, we also need to put the background URL in here, so we can, or background image URL, so we can get an image from Unsplash. So I have here an image that I have gathered earlier. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in here. So these images are free to download. As you can see, it's not looking good yet. So we need to duplicate. So before we put the image, we need to duplicate this one first. So I'm going to create 5 of these. So I'm going to copy and paste. So it will be 5 times. And change this to image 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we can get the image link that I have gathered earlier. So I am going to paste it in here for the first image, and paste for the second, then for the third image, fourth, and the last image. So make sure to save changes, Control S, or just file save at Control S. So it's going to look like this since we haven't defined the CSS yet. So now let's proceed to the next section. So this section will have an ID of about and the class of content. We also have an H2, and it's going to be about me. Then we're going to have a class of about section. then an image with a class of about image. And for the source, I already downloaded an image earlier, so I'm just going to drag and drop the image. In here. Okay, that's the image. It's a PNG image of Lee. So I'm just going to type the name in the source, which is lee.png. Now if I control S or save, it will be like this. So we will going to define the size of that later. We also need to add the alt, and let's just put roughly. Now let's proceed to now let's create a class again about details, and this class will have this text lorem ipsum. So you can type anything here if you want to, but I'm just going to use the lorem ipsum text. So it's going to look like that. In this section we have two divs, so two columns. Next section, we're going to have the contact me as an ID and class of content. Now let's add the h2 contact me, and let's just type in a lorem ipsum again for the paragraph, and make sure to save changes and check. So it's going to be like this. Next section will be the footer section. So end copy 2024 my expanding cards project. Actually, this should be let's change this. Instead of section, let's change this to footer and save. Control S to save changes. And also we also need to add the script below the body section, so make sure to include that in here. So script, and then src or the source, script.js, and control S to save changes. So it's going to be like this. So now let's proceed to the styles.css, where we need to customize the page. So for the body, we're going to have a font family. Let's just use this default value, Arial, Helvetica, Sans Serif, and margin 0, and also padding 0. And for the box sizing, let's just put border box, And next, let's proceed to, all right, save changes first and refresh. So that doesn't change anything yet, but it will be once we added more styles. So let's proceed to the header section. So we'll be targeting the header, and it will have a background color of 333 or black, and the color should be white. We also need to have the text align, center, and the padding 20 pixels. Let's Control S to save changes, and here, as you can see, the changes has been applied. So now let's add the navigation. So we're going to have a background color of 444. So it's going to be a slight, it's going to be dark, and a padding of 10 pixels, text align center, and make sure to save changes. And as you can see, it's going to be like this. So we need to if you click this section, it will route you to the right section. Now let's add the nav anchor tag, targeting the anchor. So the color should be white, and the text decoration is none. It should not have any underline. Margin should be 0 and 15 pixels. And we also need the font weight of bold. Control S to save changes, and it's going to look like this. So now let's proceed to the next section. So the expanding cards, let's copy and paste it in here. So this class styles the container for the expanding cards, ensuring they are centered and responsive with a maximum width of 900 pixels. So let's add it in here. Display flex, justify center, justify content center, and the align items is also center, with a margin top of 220 pixels and a margin width of 900 pixels. You also need the margin top bottom and the auto for the left and right, and the overflow is hidden. So make sure to save it, Control S, and it's going to look like this at the moment. So we'll proceed to the next CSS, and that will be the panel. So we will be targeting the panel. So let's add that panel, and then the background size is cover, background position should be center, and the background repeat is no repeat. We need the height of let's say 60 VH, and a border radius of 10 pixels. So the color is white, and we also need the cursor as a pointer. And let's add the flex 0.5. With a margin of 10 pixels, and also the position is relative. Transition will be all, and 700 ms is in. So make sure to Control S, save, or file saved. And there you go. It will look like this the moment. So it's not yet complete. Now let's proceed to the next step. So we'll target the panel, the H3, the panel H3. So we'll have the font size of 24 pixels, and position is absolute. And then the bottom will be 20 pixels, left is 20 pixels, margin is 0, and opacity is 0. Make sure to Control S to save, or go here and save. So nothing has, if you notice, it hasn't changed anything yet, because we're not yet done. So okay, we're targeting the image, the H3. So let's proceed to the next one. Alright, let's add the panel that active. So this will be for the active, and we're going to have the flex auto. Flex. So flex of 5, and Control S to save changes, or file and save as, or saved. So the dot panel active, when a card is active or clicked, it expands to take up more space using the flex property. So next, let's proceed to the next one. So it's going to be dot panel that active H3. The opacity is 1. Transition is opacity 0.3 seconds. Ease in 0.4 seconds. So Control S to save changes, and okay, right now it's not yet. Let's try to expand it a little bit. Right, it's not yet working because we haven't added the other so again, the dot panel active H3, this is the title that becomes more visible when a smooth transition is in opacity. So now we're going to target the content. So max width of 800 pixels, margin of 20 pixels, and auto padding of 0 and 20 pixels for the top and bottom and left and right, and also um, let's add the about section. So we're going to add the display as flex wrap, justify content is space between, align items is center, Control S to save changes. Okay, it's now centered. So the flex earlier isn't working yet because we haven't added the JavaScript. So we'll proceed with that later. So let's continue with the about image. So CSS for this. Okay, we're targeting this one, this one here, the image of Lee. So about image, and it's going to have a flex of 1, max width of 300 pixels because as you can see it's too big. Then we also need the margin right of 20 pixels and a border radius of 10 pixels. Okay, Control S to save changes, and here you go. It's now on the left portion of the screen. Now let's go to the about details for the text. Let's align it to the right. So flex is 2, as you can see in here. So Control S to save changes, and there you go. So it's now placed on the right section, on the right pane. Let's proceed to the next one. So we're going to target the footer. It's going to have a background color of it's going to have the same color, so 333, and color is white. I also need the text align a center and a padding of 10 pixels. Control S to save changes, and if you're going to, alright, let's save it first. Okay, here you go. So the footer has been centered and it has a white color. Now let's add the script. So constant, and then we're gonna name this as panels is equal to document that query selector all, and then we're going to target the panel. Okay, the CSS.panel, and it's going to have a for each. So panels that for each panel is equal to, okay, panel that add event listener clicked. Okay, let me just add this and I will give an explanation later. So remove active listener. So we also need to create the function remove active classes function, and it's going to have a panels that for each and remove active. So the script selects all elements with the class panel and adds a click event listener to each. When a card is clicked, the remove active classes function is called to remove the active class from all cards. The click card is then given the active class, triggering the expansion effect, like what you see in this example or in this video. As you can see here, when you click it, it will trigger the expansion effect. So JavaScript adds interactivity, allowing users to engage with the expanding cards and explore the captivating visuals. Together, these elements contribute to an engaging and user-friendly experience on the website's homepage. So as you can see in here, so this is just a very basic website that we built, and I hope that you have enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video.